Welcome to episode 6 of the Beginner Guide series. Last episode we learned about player trading and got ourselves 2 lovely beast companions while also getting a method to earn a good amount of credits quite easily. I'm Tipsy and today we are continuing our Beginner Guide series. Just like before, this episode is split into chapters, so feel free to jump around as needed, and in today's episode we will be covering the following topics as seen right here, so let's just get right into it. With the second dream you have now been introduced to some of the first core story of Warframe and learned a new system called the Operator, where you can gain focus for your focus schools, which are a secondary skill tree where you can gain buffs and abilities for your frames and operator. And each school represents a main focus, and I really recommend choosing the Zenurik school as your first starter school, as it will allow you to gain energy for your frame passively with the school skill tree. This will be really great early on when we don't have many ways to actually gain energy for our frames yet. And don't worry, if you have chosen another school, it is possible to change schools at all times, but you will have to buy access to the school with 50,000 focus from that school, which means you will have to get a lens for the school and equip it and begin earning focus for that current school until you can actually unlock it. These lenses you need are normally rewards from different bounties around Warframe. You could check out the Deimos bounties to see if there's any lenses you need. So to earn focus in Warframe, there's 2 different ways to do so, and the first is you will have to equip a max rank weapon or frame with something called a focus lens, which you will be given after completing the second dream for the chosen school you got. And I recommend equipping your chosen lens to your main Warframe that you use the most, as any excess affinity the frame earns is then converted into focus. You can also equip these lenses onto your weapon, so in full you could have lenses on your Warframe and different or same types of lenses on your primary, secondary and melee weapons to gain even more focus. And this can then be used to get focus to your main school or split between different schools to gain focus for those schools as well to level them up. And as said before, you can farm different types of lenses from different type of content in Warframe, but they mostly come from bounty rewards as seen here in the Cambion Drift bounties. Early on I would recommend focusing on one school, and then you can begin to branch out unlocking the other schools, but try to stay with the Zenurik school, and from there you can then get more focus with the different schools and unlock some of the nice upgrades for the schools you are using. And you could look into changing schools for specific bonuses they give to work in synergy with your builds, but overall the Zenurik school is the most beginner friendly school and gives the ability to gain energy, which is used by almost all frames. And now the second way to earn focus is something that happens in any missions, where a Convergence orb will spawn a little yellow orb that will actually spawn in, and if you run into this you will gain 5,000 focus to your current active focus school. So remember to run through these orbs to gain some extra focus. They will also be marked with a little marker, and the more kills you get while it is active will give you some more bonus focus. So it is pretty simple, the mechanic of earning focus, as once you have equipped your focus lenses to your frames and weapons and also pick up the orbs in missions, you will be gathering a good amount of focus in no time. Also keep in mind that your daily limit is set to 280,000, so there's more than enough to gain. Now that we get how to earn focus, let's quickly look into the different schools and what they excel at. But first let's quickly go over what is a focus school. So each focus school has a skill tree with 10 abilities called the ways, which can unlock various passive abilities that enhance your operator but also grant improvements to your Warframe, and these are split into 3 different ways. The first is the active ways, which are abilities you can cast while in your operator form. We will cover this more in later bits of the series. The second is the passive ways, which provides you with enhancements to your Warframe and or the operator stats, or gives you some passive abilities that can help your overall gameplay. Lastly, we have the waybounds, which are a little bit special as they have a 4th upgrade to them, which is important to know about. These waybounds can be used by all schools once maxed out, and each school has 2 different waybounds. This means if you max them out in the Zenurik, they will passively always be active no matter what school you're using. They will provide some pretty good quality of life improvements that will carry through all the schools. But this is something for later, as it will take quite a while to get to the point of unlocking your waybounds, since they need to be ranked up to max rank and cost quite a bit of focus. But this will be the main goal of a focus school: get your waybound and then farm the next school's waybounds and so on. A note on an interesting waybound is the Unairu, which actually is called Last Gasp, which will basically allow you to self-revive if you get downed, as this will turn you into your operator, and if you can get 3 kills in the time frame you can then revive yourself. But take a look around the different schools yourself to see which you might want to start focusing on. And if you head to your operator and check the different schools, you should be able to reach each of their ways, so let's do a little recap of each school. The Zenurik school is one of the most beginner friendly schools, as it gives you the ability to gain energy and passively gain more energy from pickups. Overall, this is the most convenient school to leave active. Then we have the Unairu, which is a more tanky solo focused school. It gives you large grabs to sell revive, increase your armor and health resist staggers, and provides a small damage increase on top. Then we have the Naramon, which is the more melee focused school, as it gives you the ability to hold your melee combo longer, increasing the affinity gained from melee kills, and can boost your overall melee damage if used correctly. The Vazarin is a more support or healing focused school. You gain the ability to instantly revive teammates, throw out protective shields and regenerate health for your squad and also yourself. It also increases your affinity radius. Lastly, we have the Madurai, which is the damage dealing school, giving you buff to your weapon and amp damage for higher output. It is all about maximizing your offensive capabilities here. And about the operator, while inside missions you can press 5 to activate your current form of the operator, which we'll be covering more in later chapters as we get a bit further into the game. But basically down in the right corner you will be able to see your operator's energy. Once at max you can then use the operator. So a quick summary for your focus school is you will have 5 different schools. You can only have 1 active at a time, and these schools can be upgraded to yield various bonuses and buffs, and each school has 2 waybound ways, which can then be carried over no matter which school you have currently active. Leveling these schools costs focus, which is gained by either equipping a lens to a weapon or warframe, and any access affinity with that weapon or frames will then be converted into focus, while in missions a Convergence orb can spawn, giving you 5000 focus for your currently active focus school just by running through it. Personally, for convenience and early game progression, I recommend the Zenurik as your starting school, since it gives you some really nice passive energy related benefits. You will definitely feel it different if you switch to another school later on, as it requires quite a bit of modding and specific warframes to make up for what the Zenurik naturally provides with the energy regeneration. And as we progress further in the series and continue with the loadout chapters, we will also now start covering the operator and which upgrades I've chosen, so feel free to follow along if you want to build yours similarly. And that should cover the basics of the operator and the focus schools in the early stages of Warframe. But the operator and the focus schools weren't the only rewards we got from completing the second dream. We also received quite a nice sword called the Broken War, which is an insanely good melee early on. It comes with a potato built in, the Origin Catalyst, so it has increased mod capacity to work with right away. While the weapon is innately crit focused, we don't yet have the mods to make a full crit build early on, so we'll just have to make use of a basic viral and heat status build for now, and for that you need to use the mods. Vigorous Frost, Fever Strike, Gladiator Might just to make some use out of the high crit chance, then Pressure Point, Volcanic Edge, Fury, and lastly a stance if you have one, for example here the Iron Phoenix stance, to gain a little bit more capacity. This build should work fine as your first Broken War setup. As we collect more melee mods later on, we will swap over to a better build, but for now this is good for leveling it up and progressing throughout the early game. From this point we will mainly be using our hack and the Broken War, and the next goal will be to max out the hack for early game using the Toxic Barrage and the Scattered Justice mods. As for the Broken War, we will eventually want to get Blood Rush, Weeping Wounds and Condition Overload to make a proper late game melee build. And now that we have completed the second dream and gone over some of the new systems we are unlocked, alongside with a quick look at the Broken War, it is time to get back on track and push further into the game. Since the second dream was the only requirement for the Pluto Junction, let's go ahead and clear that now to gain access to Pluto. This is also a perfect chance to test out your new melee weapon, the Broken War, which should slice through enemies just fine here. And once you have completed the Junction, you gain access to Pluto, and from here we will start clearing our way towards the Eris and Sedna junctions. When you then reach the Oceanum spy mission, I recommend heading into the market and purchasing the Ciphers or the 10x Ciphers blueprint, if you haven't already. This is important because the spy mission's detection timers are fairly short at this stage in the game. Then just go ahead and craft a few Ciphers and equip them to your gear wheel so you can use them during the hacking sequences. And once you're inside the mission, you can use your Rhino's second ability, the Iron Skin, to brute force your way through the different vaults. Run directly into the hacking terminals and then press Y or whatever key your assigned key is for auto hacking, and the Cipher would automatically complete the hack. This lets you brute force your way through the spy missions without having to worry about the timers or difficulty much. As you see here in the background, it is fairly easy to do this. These vaults are standard high tier Corpus vaults just with a shorter timer, hence why we are using the Rhino to ignore the lasers and Ciphers to basically skip the hacks for a faster completion. Also, as a heads up, these spy missions can drop some nice 60/60 status mods. In this example we got Frostbite, but there's several other mods you can farm doing these spy missions. So if you're looking to improve your weapon builds, I highly recommend doing a few runs for these new mods. And now with a few more missions completed, you now have a path to both the Eris and the Sedna Junction, and our main focus from now on will be getting to Sedna and then from there to the Void, so we can farm the Toxic Barrage for a hack, and to access that we will need to complete the Rising Tide quest. To gain access to Sedna and continue the story quest from here, we will first need to complete the Rising Tide quest, which this chapter will cover, as we will need to gather some resources and other stuff throughout this quest, so let's go over it. To start the quest, go to the Codex station, and under main quest you can start the quest called Rising Tides. This will then give you a blueprint to the Railjack Sapphire in your inbox, and you need to craft this, so go to your foundry and start crafting it. Once the Sapphire is crafted, you will have to head to a dry dock, which can be found in the dojo normally, but this quest wants you to head to the Chronia Relay on Satron and use the dry dock. So let's head to the dry dock, or you can just click the quick action quest at the top to be taken right there. Once inside the relay, use your gear wheel menu to fast travel to the dry dock, then follow the objective to install the Sapphire. This will then start the quest to recover the Railjack. Just follow the missions, and once done, head back to the dry dock Railjack station in the relay to install the first part, which will cost some resources that you should have by now, otherwise you will need to go farming for it a bit. The Neurodes can be farmed by running the Mariana mission on Earth or the Magnesidium mission on Deimos, as we have went over in earlier episodes. And the rest of the resources should be fairly easy to acquire. Now just continue the quest of going out, gathering a part of the Railjack and heading back to install it at the dry dock. For the second part we will need Cryotech, which is gotten from excavation missions, as each excavator drops Cryotech on completion. Oricon cells are gotten from enemies and deposits on Ceres, Saturn and Deimos. Now for the third part, as you will need polymer bundles and circuits, which are normally found in many missions, but running missions on Venus will reward both the polymer bundles and the circuits, so that would be your to-go area. For the fourth part it is basically the same, just put in the resources and continue the quest, as the next few parts should mostly be crafted with some pretty easy to get resources. Then once you have finished, install the Sapphire into your Railjack, and with that you have gotten your very own Railjack in Warframe. But the objective will try to continue the quest to take you to Lua, but we will just have to wait a bit with that, so just say not yet. We will come back to the Railjack later, as the next update to Warframe should bring some changes to the early Railjack part of the game. So for now let's just head back into the Orbiter and continue onwards. With the Railjack mission complete, the Sedna Junction should be ready to start, as you also encounter the sentient enemies in these missions and have probably already killed the two you need. Otherwise you will just have to do the Strofla mission on Lua, as we will need that for the Eris Junction anyway. And for the Eris Junction we need to crack open some Neo Relics and do a defense mission called Strofla on Lua. If you don't have the Neo Relics, this defense mission can actually also drop them in a rotation, meaning the first 2 rotations. So go ahead and do a quick run of Strofla on Lua to complete the first part of the Eris Junction, and maybe also get a Neo Relic ready to crack open for the other goal. With Strofla complete, let's quickly run 3 Neo Relic runs, which are found up in the Fisher mission tab. And after 3 nice runs of relics as seen here, we now have access to both the Eris and Sedna Junction. So let's start by clearing the Sedna Junction first. For the Sedna Junction, use your iron skin, as this one hurts a bit, just slice and dice, and with that the Sedna Junction is complete. This junction also gives you access to the War Within quest, which is gonna be the next main storyline of Warframe. And for the Eris Junction, just do basically the same, iron up, slice and dice, and you should complete it with no issues. And with that done, we now have access to Sedna and Eris, which means we can actually move around all over the known star chart we currently have access to. So the next goal is gonna be making it all the way over to the Void from Sedna to gain access to some of the new toxin mods, which are pretty great. So let's start working our way over to Sedna, and also remember to craft the new blueprints we have gotten so far. This series is taking quite a lot of time and effort, so it would be greatly appreciated if you hit that like button, and if you want to see more you could also subscribe to be notified for the next video. Now with Sedna Junction complete, the way towards the Void higher level missions is open, and at this stage you might also have reached the point where you can actually level Steel Meridian to rank 4. So first we will be covering how to get the Toxic Barrage, and then we will get the iron needed to rank up the Steel Meridian to rank 4 and get our hands on the Scattered Justice mod. So first we need to clear all the way over to the Void past Sedna, and once you reach the Void just clear towards mod, as this will be the mission we will be farming for these mods in. While playing these missions, after the 5 to 8 minute mark there is a chance for a corrupted Captain War to spawn in. Killing him will drop one of the 4 different Toxin 60/60 mods, and the one we want to get is the Toxic Barrage for a hack, but if you can I would recommend trying to get all of the 4 different mods, as they are used in a ton of different different builds. Once it drops, just go ahead and equip it onto your hack and upgrade it to the max rank. Now we need to get our hands on the Scattered Justice, which is obtained from Steel Meridian at rank 4. To get rank 4 we need 250,000 credits and 2 Aya to actually rank up the Steel Meridian. The Aya can be acquired by doing Habit Mission in the Void, which has a 6% drop chance, but another way would be trying to farm for the melee mods in the Campion Drift like Weeping Wounds, Blood Rush and Condition Overload, because these bounties also have a chance to drop Aya, so you could be farming both at the same time. And once you have gotten your Aya, go over to the Syndicate Station in your Obiter and rank up the Steel Meridian to rank 4. And as your rank up reward, you can actually choose the Scattered Justice for the hack as a reward here, so you don't have to buy it afterwards. Now just go ahead and install the mod and upgrade it to the max rank as well. And with that we basically now have a pretty solid build with our Rhino, hack and our newly acquired Broken War Sword, so let's go over our current loadout. Now that we have gained access to a focus school, gotten our Broken War and made our final hack Zero Foma build, let's go over everything together as we now have a pretty solid early game build. So let's start with our Rhino, as not much has changed since last time we upgraded the Rhino, as we are still lacking the Endo and capacity, but the build is still pretty solid for our current content. For the last 2 capacity points I would probably put them into maxing out the Intensify and upgrading Steel Fiber once. Now for our hack, as we have got a pretty solid early game build with 0 Foma invested, as it is possible to farm the Kuva hack later on, which I would recommend investing into instead of this version of the hack, but if you do want to put a Foma into this hack, I would recommend adding Blaze as your last mod. Otherwise at rank 8, if you enjoy shotguns, you could farm the Cedo from Father in the Necrolist on Deimos, and the Cedo is also a great weapon and a shotgun as well. And now for a secondary weapon, we don't really have one right now, so this slot is mainly used for ranking up new weapons so we can get more mastery XP. And now for a melee weapon, the Broken War, we are running a status build with Viral and Heat using the Gladiator Might from Siege's bounties to generate a bit of crit chance and crit damage. This way we don't waste on the Broken War's high base crit chance, and in big hordes of enemies this weapon feels great, while the hack handles more single target encounters. And now for our focus schools, the Zenurik. We have upgraded energy pulse twice to get more out of our energy pickups and put 1 point into Inner Might, giving us a free ability cast every 90 seconds, which is pretty great overall. And now this is our current loadout, giving us a solid base to progress from this point in the game. Now that we have a solid starter build, we can also begin working on secondary builds, meaning we can start looking into a Necros loot build, maybe check out a Ira spy build, or whatever weapon or frame we might want to test out at some point. With our progress on a steady road, let's take a step back and visit some of the earlier systems with the open world syndicates, the Ostron on Sieges first. As to rank up this faction, we also need to do some mining and also craft some crafted resources. So let's go over all of that in this chapter. To start, we need to get a mining drill, and the best drill you can actually get in the game is from Fortuna on Venus, so let's go and get that first. Once in Fortuna you can just fast travel to Smokefinger and get the Sunpoint plasma drill from him. Then head back to your arsenal and equip it onto your gear wheel, and we can then begin mining in Warframe for resources. But first we'll have to head to Cetus and talk to Konsu to actually see what we need to rank up the Ostron Syndicate. Here we can see we need fish scales, which we already know how to get, and then we need 40 Pyrol and 10 Tier Azurite. The Pyrol is a raw resource that can be mined, whereas the Tier Azurite is a crafted resource made from Azurite, which is also mined in the Plains of Eidolon. The Pyrol is an ore and is gotten from red veins around the Plains of Eidolon, as these drop ores, while the Azurite is a gem, and gems are dropped from blue veins around the plains. But first, to actually craft the Tier Azurite, we need the blueprint that can be bought from Old Man Sombat, and whilst here I recommend just getting all of the permanent blueprints, as we will need all of them at a later point. With our blueprints in hand, we are ready to head out to the Plains of Eidolon to actually begin mining for resources. Once inside the plains, there's 2 caves I would recommend mining in. The first is the Twin Horns caves and the other is the Mount Nang cave. Personally, I just like the Mount Nang cave. Also, a small point to take into account is the further you are away from spawn, the better the yield chances are, which is also why I mine in the Mount Nang normally. Now head into one of either cave and take out your mining drill to begin mining. Here you will be introduced to a minigame where you will have a circle that charges up as you hold your aim, while also holding the left mouse button, the one you normally attack enemies with. And what you want to do is basically let you charge up inside these small boxes that are marked in white to gain a higher yield of the ore you are mining. And if a really small box appears, hitting that box will allow for additional yield of the resource. And while you hold down the aim with your mining gun, you will also be able to see how many nearby veins are on the left side of your screen, and on the right side you will see how close you are to the nearest vein. There's also two different ways to go about mining in Warframe. First is using the minigame to gain a slightly higher yield, taking more time at each node, while the other one is what I like to call speed mining or wiggle mining, where you can turn your brain off and hit all of the blue dots on a vein as quickly as you can. This yields fewer resources per vein, but at the same time you don't have to worry about the minigame and can spend less time at each vein. And now let's go ahead and mine this cave until you have 40 pyrrole and 10 azurite, and if you find some aridite or nettle pods, remember to destroy them while mining just to get some more resources into your inventory. There's also a little thing you can hack down here that will actually drain the water in this canvas, and you will be able to probably find a few more mining nodes down there. Once done, all you have to do is run out of the cave, fast travel back to the main gate and extract from the plains. As you see here, we did a run and got both the 40 pyrrole as well as the azurite needed. And this is fairly quickly, as I was both writing this part of the video while also mining, so normally it would probably take around 10 minutes or less if you actually fully want to mine Mount Nang. Once we have our pyrrole and the azurite, head back into your obiter to begin crafting the tier azurite. And then with your tier azurite we can now head back to Cetus, and as we have bought some blueprints which cost a bit of standing, you can actually use the gems you have mined to turn them into standing at Old Man Sombat, as seen here, using some of the gems we have just mined to max out our standing. Then head back to Konsu to rank up your Ostron Syndicate to rank 2 and choose one of the permanent blueprints as a reward. And now we know how to mine, as it works exactly the same on Venus in Orvalis and Deimos with the Cambion Drift, but on Cambion Drift the veins do look a little bit different, as they are more condensed dot of yellowish or bluish instead. So whenever you need resources that are mined, you know how to get them, and if it's a crafted mining resource, the mining merchant in each open world hub will sell the blueprints needed to craft them. As we now have a steady source of income with credits from the last episode, we can begin working on some of the clan weapons, as most of these weapons require a specific resource that takes 12 hours to craft. So it is a good idea to start crafting them now, that way by the time you want to build a clan weapon, you already have some of the materials ready to go. First, let's head into the clan dojo. In the energy lab you will find the Fieldron research. Let's start by contributing enough to begin crafting at least a few of these. I recommend adding around 10 of them. Next, go to the Cham lab and contribute to unlock 10 Detonite injectors, and then head over to the Bio lab and get 10 Mutagen mass. That should cover the main resources for 3 different weapon categories. The Tenno lab has weapons that don't require any special resources, the Corpus weapons requires the Fieldron, the Grenier weapons use the Detonite injectors, and the infested weapons use the Mutagen mass. And while we are here, let's grab a few weapons to start working on, some of which I still use on my main account to this day today. And from the Biolab we will grab the Toroid blueprint and the Dual Ico blueprint. Then from the Cham lab pick up the Ignis Wrath, a favorite early to mid game weapon for many players. And if you are not mastery ranked 9 yet, you can start with the normal Ignis and then upgrade to the Wrath version once you actually reach MR9. And in the energy lab you will be able to find the Arca Plasmor, a really fun weapon to use, even though this weapon does have a Tenet version, which you can get later on, kind of like the heck with the Kuva heck, so just keep that in mind. And now for something a lot of you all have been waiting for, how to farm Endo. So as Endo is used to upgrade our mods and we are currently lacking every turn we take, it is time to go over how we can acquire some Endo for our lovely mods, so we can work on builds and be ready for new warframes and different loadouts. As we have gone over some of the earliest Endo farm already, which is basically to turn duplicate mods into Endo, but now in this chapter we will quickly go over a guide on Ayatan Sculptures method, as we haven't gone over that yet, and then I will go over the raw Endo farm that gives you around 1k Endo every few minutes. So for the Ayatan Sculptures you will first need to do a weekly mission, which we did mention early on in the Maroo's Bazaar. This is a weekly Ayatan Sculpture mission where you can get an Ayatan Sculpture. Once you have gotten your Ayatan Sculpture, go into the modding station in your Obiter and click the Ayatan tab at the top right. You can then use the sculpture to fill it with Ayatan stars to max out its worth in Endo. And then you can sell it for Endo which is a quick 1k plus Endo each week, or a few plat if you end up selling it to another player. But if you want a more raw Endo farm, we will have to head into the Necrolist on Deimos to do bounties in the Cambion Drift. And this would also be a great time to farm for the melee mods, Blood Rush, Weeping Wounds and Condition Overload, as these bounties they appear and also have Endo rewards, though smaller than the tier 5 bounty, the level 40 to 61, which has the highest chance of dropping Endo at 1k each stage. Meaning in this tier 5 bounty you have a 45.45% chance of getting 1k raw Endo, while also having a chance at getting Aya and the current mother token used to actually level up the Entradi family. So I highly recommend running the tier 5 level 40 to 60 bounty whenever Blood Rush or Weeping Wounds are not up in the rotation, and once you have gotten the melee mods you can just focus on the tier 5 bounty to gain your Endo quickly. And the reason we haven't gone over the Endo farm yet is because of this farm, as we needed a stronger build to do it, but now with a broken war and the hack we should be able to do so. So just go ahead and farm the tier 5 bounty. And as we get further into the game, we will update our Endo farming method as we unlock new and better methods for Endo, but in fairness this is still a great Endo farm. We have made some solid progress on the beginner guide account, as we now have our solid base build with Rhino, the hack and our broken war, as well as having unlocked the operator and focus schools to gain some bonuses from. We have also gotten a nice little Railjack, which we'll get more into further down the line, so for now it is time to go over the homework for the next episode, as we all love and enjoy, right? Firstly, the War Within quest, which takes around 2 hours, is the follow-up to the second Dream story quest, so look forward to playing that. I will be doing it on the live stream in the in-between episode series, so feel free to check that out. Next up is the farming for some Endo, as in the next episode we will probably look into building a Necros and getting a farming build up and running for resource farming. While doing this, try and see if you can get Blood Rush, Weeping Wounds and Condition Overload as well. We also have a few nodes left to clear, so try to clear Neptune, Pluto and Eris, and if you want to, feel free to clear the rest as well. Then we have some homework from earlier episodes still counting, so remember to do your standing. We also have ranked Ostron Syndicate to rank 2, so we can do a little bit more hunting on Earth now. But overall that should cover some of the homework, and remember you don't need to do all of this before starting the next episode, just do it at your own pace, and I will be doing it on my live stream, which will also be turned into a VOD if you didn't catch it live. And that's it for the 6th episode of the beginner guide series. I hope you found it useful, and if you haven't watched the first few episodes, I highly recommend checking them out, as there's quite a few tips and tricks that could still be helpful even if you're already past this stage. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, and if you want more Warframe tips, don't forget to like and subscribe for future content, and check out my other videos for more guides and tips. We also do have a Discord server, so feel free to hop in there and become part of the community. Stay tuned, stay tipsy, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.